The process of psychotherapy. The place of religion in psychotherapy. Part 5 of 15. To be a teacher of God, it is not necessary to be religious or even to believe in God in any recognizable way. It is necessary to teach forgiveness rather than condemnation. Even perfect consistency in this is not required, because if someone had perfect consistency, they could teach salvation in an instant and without a word. Silence would communicate because their mind would be a living demonstration of non-judgment. The healed have no need of a therapist, and those who have learned all things have no need of a teacher. Relationships remain the temple of the Holy Spirit, and through them we are made perfect in time and restored to eternity. Formal religion has no place in psychotherapy because forms tend to replace function, and function here is forgiveness. Formal religion has no real place in religion either, because when ritual substitutes for living experience of love, the ego has dressed itself as holiness. The ego loves to join contradictions into one term and pretend there is no conflict. Holy attack, righteous hatred, or exclusive salvation are examples of reconciling the unreconcilable. The attempt to formalize religion is the ego's effort to control God by procedure, schedule, and badge. Religion is experience, not ceremony. Psychotherapy is experience, not technique. At the highest levels, they become one, because both are simply classrooms where unforgiveness is undone. Neither religion nor psychotherapy is truth itself, because truth needs no method to be what it is. They can, however, lead to truth by removing what hides it. Truth is perfectly obvious when the obstacles to true awareness are gone. Therefore, the work is subtraction, not addition. No one who truly learns to forgive can fail to remember God. Forgiveness is all that need be taught because it is all that need be learned. All blocks to the remembrance of God are forms of unforgiveness and nothing else. This is rarely apparent to the patient and only sometimes to the therapist, because the world has organized itself to protect grievance. Media, politics, family myths, and even piety can be recruited to justify not letting go. Why such force against forgiveness? Because in this awareness lies the ending of the world the ego built and all it stands for. Yet, awareness of God is not the immediate goal of psychotherapy. This awareness comes as forgiveness completes its work, because where forgiveness is, truth must enter. It would be unfair if belief in God were required for healing, because healing is a fact of mind, not a club we join. Belief in God is not a meaningful spiritual category, because God is known, not inferred. Belief implies you could also disbelieve, but knowledge has no opposite. Not to know God is to be without knowledge, and unforgiveness maintains this ignorance. Without knowledge, one is left with competing beliefs and defended opinions, which cannot bring peace. Different teaching aids reach different learners. Some forms of religion have nothing to do with God because they teach separation, fear, or superiority. Some forms of psychotherapy have nothing to do with healing because they teach blame, specialness, or body identity. Yet when pupil and teacher genuinely share one goal, God is invited into their relationship. Likewise, when patient and therapist share one purpose, the place of God is restored to ascendance, first through Christ's vision, then through the memory of God. The process of psychotherapy is the return to sanity. Teacher and pupil, therapist and patient are all insane, or they would not be here at all. Insanity means mistaking illusion for truth and defending the mistake. Examples are everywhere: defending a grievance as safety, clinging to a role as identity, or worshipping the body as life. Together they can find a pathway out, For no one finds sanity alone. Why not alone? Because isolation is the ego's first lie and its final defense. Joining refutes separation and makes room for a different teacher to guide perception. If healing is an invitation to God to enter his kingdom, what difference does the invitation stationery make? The paper, the ink, the pen are nothing. It is the willingness that writes. God comes to those who would restore his world because they have found a way to call to him. If any two are truly joined, he must be there. They must share the same purpose wholly to succeed, because partial joining is not joining. No goal that excludes a brother can be blessed by Christ, for what is unseen through his eyes is too fragmented to be meaningful. As true religion heals, so must true psychotherapy be religious, not in form, but in purpose. Both take many forms because no good teacher uses one approach for every pupil. A wise teacher listens deeply and lets the pupil help shape the curriculum that will lead him to the goal. Not the goal itself, but the path toward it is individualized. Example, one pupil may need silence and solitude, another needs honest conversation and feedback, a third needs service and shared work. Perhaps a teacher does not think of God at all, and yet teaches forgiveness flawlessly. Perhaps a psychotherapist does not understand that healing comes from God, yet consistently refuses to condemn. They can succeed where those who believe in God fail, because outcomes follow purpose, not labels. What must the teacher do to ensure learning, and what must the therapist do to bring healing? Only one thing: share one goal with someone else and relinquish all sense of separate interests. This single move undoes the narrow boundaries the ego imposes on the self. Only by this can teacher and pupil, therapist and patient, you and I accept atonement and learn to give it as it was received. Communion is impossible alone because communion is joining. No one who stands apart can receive Christ's vision. It is offered to him, but he cannot extend his hand while he clutches separation. Let him be still and recognize his brother's need is his own, and then meet that need as one. For such they are: one need, one answer, one peace. What is religion but an aid to seeing this? What is psychotherapy but help in this very direction? It is the shared goal that makes them the same in purpose and therefore the same in means. When they point to joining, both are holy. When they defend separation, both are false. Choose again, and they become one teacher speaking with a single voice. Imagine two lamps on a table, one carved like a cathedral, one plain and unadorned. The cathedral lamp calls itself religion. The plain lamp calls itself psychotherapy. Both argue about shapes, shades, and switches, but neither will shine until they share the current. Forgiveness is the current. When both plug into forgiveness, the room fills with light and nobody cares which lamp is fancier. The light does not come from the lamp, it comes through it. When the current flows, the argument ends. What mattered was never the casing, but the joining to the source and the giving of the light. Let's tee up for part 6. The role of the psychotherapist. Today we saw that religion and psychotherapy are names for classrooms where forgiveness is learned, joining is practiced, and truth reappears by itself. Tomorrow we move to part 6 of 15, the role of the psychotherapist, where we ask what the therapist is for when only forgiveness heals, and how they can serve without making the error real. Bring your willingness, the current will do the rest.